Please remain standing for the national anthem. You may be seated. Good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen. The Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica. I see an empty seat here for Senator Aubin Hill. I imagine he's on his way. Ambassador Deshant Savaria, founder and CEO of the Amber Group. Michael McNaughton, President of UTech Technology, of the University of Technology, Jamaica. Aldrich McNabb, Pro-Chancellor of UTech. Did I make a mistake? I think I did. I definitely did make a mistake. Michael McNaughton, Managing Director of Amber Group. Aldrich McNabb, Pro-Chancellor of UTech. And Dr. Kevin Brown, our star, President of the University of Technology, Jamaica. No, tell me I make a mistake. Stand up there and let me look like a fool, but that's okay. We shall redeem ourselves this evening. Mr. Howard Mitchell, business mogul and entrepreneur, former head of the PSOJ as well. We also have here Mr. Christopher Zaka, President and CEO of Sagicor Group, Jamaica. Members of the business community, members of UTech, Jamaica's council, and members of faculty and staff of the university, members of the press, friends, well-wishers, esteemed friends, welcome to the inaugural Amber UTech Launchpad launch ceremony. Woo! What an amazing and exciting day it is. My name is Kalila Reynolds, and I'm deeply honored to be your host on such a pivotal occasion because this event marks not just the unveiling of a groundbreaking initiative, but also the dawn of a transformative era of innovation and opportunity all across Jamaica. So as we set forth on this exciting venture together, it's crucial to acknowledge the transformative potential that endeavors like this hold for the trajectory of our nation. As you heard the anthem just now, I saw some of you looking at the screen and feeling proud, looking at the images, because what lies before us is so important and so pivotal. Entrepreneurship is the lifeblood of our nation, isn't it, Deshant? As we get our young people starting businesses, getting Mr. Zaka to fund the businesses, getting the launch pad off the ground, getting the government support from the Prime Minister, OPM, and the rest of the government. This is what it is all about. So allow me to extend my heartfelt admiration to the Amber Group and to UTech for their foresight and steadfast dedication to this cause. When Deshant called me about this, about 4 months ago, probably like October, November last year, I said, yes, I'm on board, count me in. This is exciting. I love to see initiatives like this that help our people rise and innovate and create wealth, poverty to prosperity, right? For our nation. Let's get this money, of course. So without any further ado, let me introduce our first speaker of the evening, President of UTech, Dr. Kevin Brown. But before he comes up, I need to tell you a little bit about this person, about Dr. Brown. He's UTech's 5th president, and is fairly new on the job, just got the job September 11, 2023, so just a few months in. But he is no stranger at all to academia. In fact, he's been a trailblazer in academia and the aerospace industry for 18 years. And when I say aerospace, I'm talking about most recently him being the technology project lead for civil aerospace technology and future programs at Rolls-Royce. All right? Talk about bright, right? It's bright people things. And when I say academia, he's authored and won multi-million pound, you know, not dollars, not euro, pound sterling research grant proposals, not even JMD pound. And he's also published 22 peer-reviewed journal articles and conference papers. But wait, there's more. He's also an inventor with patents in the United States and Britain, and an entrepreneur and co-founder of a startup company in telecommunications. So who better to take UTech, Jamaica, and the Amber Launchpad to the moon? Please welcome Dr. Kevin Brown, presenting on education's role in nurturing entrepreneurial talent.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies, Mrs. Khalila Reynolds, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Mr. Aldrich Ali McNabb, our Pro-Chancellor, Ambassador Dushyant Savadia, founder and CEO of the Amber Group, and someone I can call a friend now, I think. We've had many conversations, so I think I qualify as friend, right? Other members of the Amber Group management team who have become like family. Again, we've had so many meetings planning this awesome project. Mr. Christopher Zaka, President and CEO of Sagicor Group, Jamaica Limited. Mr. Howard Mitchell, Business Titan and Entrepreneur. Members of the UTech Council. I know we have here Honorable Shirley Tyndale and other members of the UTech Council. Professor Charmaine Barrett, Acting Deputy President. Ms. Marion Brown, Vice President and Registrar. And I also see my other Vice President and Chief of Information Technology here as well. Other Vice Presidents, other members of the senior leadership team, deans, members of the academic and administrative staff, other special invited guests from across the business and tertiary education fraternities, members of the media. Good evening, everyone. I am so delighted to welcome you here for this landmark occasion on this official launch of the Amber UTech Launchpad program. Now, as you've heard, the mantra and objective of this partnership between our university and the global software powerhouse, the Amber Group, is to facilitate the ambitious goal of establishing 100 technology-based startups in 1,000 days. Only Ambassador Savadia could have dreamt that up, right? So this philanthropic collaborative program between Amber and UTech is about to usher in a groundbreaking transformation to the technology-based startup entrepreneurial ecosystem in Jamaica. This is a game-changing initiative that's been conceptualized by Ambassador Savadia, who undoubtedly is one of Jamaica's preeminent entrepreneurs with the Amber Group. And he is determined to work with UTech to transform how we support technology startups in Jamaica. Through this program, we are going to finance these startups, we're going to train them, we are going to give them access to software and other resources. So today's occasion demonstrates what is possible when academia, the private sector, and the government come together and partner to grow and develop our country. The Amber UTech Launchpad signals a significant and meaningful opportunity for Jamaican citizens of all ages and socioeconomic backgrounds, including tertiary students, to realize their dreams of establishing thriving businesses. So this program is going to offer an awesome opportunity like no other to ignite tech-focused business ideas that are relevant to Jamaica's development agenda and is well poised to add significant value by creating jobs and ultimately stimulating economic growth. So in this context, UTech Jamaica is pleased to be supporting this Launchpad initiative, which is well aligned with our mission. What is the mission of UTech? Well, our mission is clear. Our mission is to positively impact Jamaica, the wider Caribbean, and elsewhere through high-quality learning opportunities, research, and value-added solutions to government, industry, and communities. So during this ceremony, Amber and UTech will solidify our partnership with the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding, an MOU. As part of this collaboration, UTech, through our Technology Innovation Center, the TIC, will provide incubation services to the selected startup businesses in the Launchpad program. Now, as most persons in this audience would be aware, since 2002, UTech, through our TIC, our Technology Innovation Center, has been making our mark on the Jamaican economy by supporting and strengthening the capacity of startups. We have a long and proud history of being an entrepreneurial university. The business incubator infrastructure here at UTech started with the former CAST. Anybody remember CAST? CAST Entrepreneurial Extension Center, which was directed and nurtured by our very own Mrs. Sandra Glasgow, Sandra Glasgow, for over 17 years. And she's in the crowd with us, and I'm really so pleased that you could join us today, Sandra. Welcome back to UTech. It all started with you in that Entrepreneurial Extension Center. And we have been making progress ever since. We had a grant from CEDA, from the Canadian Development Agency, International Development Agency, and from that grant, we have built out an entrepreneurial infrastructure at UTech through that extension center. And from that humble beginning, we now have the Technology Innovation Center, or TIC, which is one of the first and largest business incubators in the English-speaking Caribbean. So the TIC is a specialized unit at the university. It sits within the Joan Duncan School of Entrepreneurship, Ethics and Leadership, JDC, in our College of Business Management, and holds the distinction, as I said, of being the first business incubator in the English-speaking Caribbean. I'm repeating it because I want to emphasize the point. And here at the TIC, we assist startups, we provide the training, and what we're trying to do is to make them succeed. Anybody ever tried a startup before? What's the success rate? It's fairly low, right? So we are giving them a fighting chance. That's the aim, right? We want to give them a fighting chance to succeed. And clients of the TIC have benefited from the reduced startup costs that we provide, from the training. We have nurtured over 300 client businesses in our residential and virtual program. 300. And I'm standing there, I'm thinking, best kept secret, right? We need to shout more about what UTech is doing. Prime Minister, I'm glad you're here, because UTech has been adding value to Jamaica for so many years, and maybe we've been so humble, right? So humble about it. So I'm pleased to note that graduate businesses of the TIC have gone on to, of course, have very impactful businesses. They have received grants in both cash and equity of over $60 million. And in addition to gaining investment in their businesses, some of these companies have been recipients of numerous local and international awards. Prime Minister, many of these companies who have been incubated right here at UTech have won your award, Prime Minister, for your Youth Award for Excellence in Entrepreneurship over the years. So you may recall, Prime Minister, eMedia Interactive, right? You may also recall Pre-Labs as well, and many others who you have graced with your Youth Award for Excellence in Entrepreneurship. They were incubated right here, Prime Minister. So UTech is committed. We are committed to the continued successful outcomes of these small and medium-sized businesses through our TIC. And we are here now to work with the Amber Group to supercharge the startup economy in Jamaica. We have several other success stories. I'll just mention one before I end. And this is a recent graduate of ours, Rayvon Stewart, who after participating in our annual UTech business model competition, which seeks to stimulate entrepreneurship amongst our very own students, he took his business idea, which he developed during COVID, which was a business around a technology that would be used to detect bacteria left on doorknobs. The innovation was called Zermacell. So Zermacell was recognized internationally in fighting against the COVID-19 virus. And in July last year, Zermacell Supplies Limited took a significant step towards protecting this innovation by applying for a world intellectual property patent, right? So we are very proud of what we're achieving at UTech. And maybe, as I said before, we don't speak enough as an institution about what we're doing for young people, for business, for our economy. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the entrepreneurship infrastructure here is alive and well at UTech and will certainly be further strengthened through this new partnership. So in closing, I want to warmly welcome you again to the launch event, and you're in for a treat. And I want to also thank Amber Group once again on behalf of the UTech family for coming to the right place. Together, we are going to deliver something special for Jamaica. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. It certainly seems like a match made in heaven. Amber and UTech unite, right? So our next speaker is somebody that you may recognize from Mount Everest, where he carved the name of Jamaica. Very recently was all in the headlines. I'm talking, of course, about Ambassador Deshant Savaria, founder and CEO of the Amber Group. He literally climbed the world's highest mountain. You know that song? I will cross an ocean for you. He's climbing a mountain for Jamaica, literally, and writing the name on the top. And now we have another mountain to climb with the launch of the UTech Amber UTech Launchpad. Now, before I invite him on the stage, I want to take a moment of silence as well to observe the passing of his dear mother just very recently. So let's just observe a moment of silence. Thank you. So, Deshant, on behalf of the people of Jamaica, myself, everyone in this room, we extend our sincerest condolences and deepest gratitude that you were able to make it here despite this personal tragedy. So this selflessness and sacrifice don't go unnoticed. We're definitely honored to have you here today. And after I riled up your emotions, I'm gonna ask you to come on the stage. I know what it's like, but I know that this is a very special and important moment for you. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the iconic Deshant Savaria.
I'm taller. The Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Senator Honorable Auburn Hill, Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Michael McNaughton, Managing Director of Amber Group, Dr. Kevin Brown, President, University of Technology, Jamaica, Mr. Howard Mitchell, Business Mogul and Entrepreneur, former Head of PSOJ, Mr. Christopher Zaka, President and CEO, Sagicor Group Limited, members of business community, members of UTech, Jamaica's Council, and members of faculty and staff of the University, members of friends, members of the press, and ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm sure you had lunch, right? Good evening. Great. That sounds like you had lunch. Great. First of all, thank you for being here this evening. This evening is very, very special to me personally. And thank you for honoring my mother too. She passed away this weekend. It was very tough to journey back to Jamaica, but I just thought that my pain cannot be bigger than the gain Jamaica will get from this launch. And I'm here. And thank you for being here to celebrate this event with me. I want to start by giving you a little background history. It was about in September, October, I met the Prime Minister and I gave him this idea of Amber Launchpad only. And I said, Prime Minister, here's the presentation, here's how I want to do it, here's the plan behind what I want to do. And he, as usual, has been very supportive. You might have known the Amber Heart Academy was also, through his absolute intervention, it moved quite fast and we launched the Amber Heart Academy a couple of years ago, which now has graduated nearly 200 students and is now currently having 500 odd students studying coding in these at the Stony Hill campus of Heart. And similarly, back in October, I reached out to the Prime Minister because I like to run the ideas by him first because he's got that vision, he knows what he can do with it. And as soon as I pitched the whole idea, this is what I would like to do as Amber, he said, Dushyant, this is UTech. You need to do this with UTech. UTech has all the infrastructure, has the capability to give training, and has all the infrastructure required to support you to make this a big success. And then through his office's introduction, we met Dr. Kevin Brown, and I've always known government is usually slower to respond to things, but I tell you, in both of my cases, it was in lightning speed. In 4 months' time, we are here, launching the Amber UTech Launchpad. And my personal reason to start Amber UTech Launchpad was very simple. I was a startup 8 years ago. I still believe I'm a startup. I don't want to change those boots ever because it's keeping me on the go all the time. Amber Group started back in 2015. In 8 years' time, we now operate in 100 countries all over the world. We have users and distributors all over the world in 8 years of span. And we lined up 12 companies under the group already, one by one. And the way we operated is we always focused on where is the requirement, where is the gap, where is what we need to do. And not only that, we focused simply on having a great product and have brilliant marketing abilities all over the world. We also made sure that we qualify with the right standards of processes and procedures. So we are a ISO 9001, we are a ISO 27001, we are a PCI compliant company. We did everything that was required to make sure that the world can embrace Jamaica fully without a doubt or a question that we know how to build software and we know how to get things done. My first business was Amber Connect, vehicle tracking fleet management. This is where we started 8 years ago. And I still remember funny stories. It was a 200 square feet office that we started Amber Group with 8 years ago from now. In that 200 square feet office, I had 3 staff and all of the 3 of us sitting on the floor and folding boxes. And I still remember when customers, we got the first 100 customers who trusted us to put our trackers in their cars, and they would call middle of the night if the vehicle was stolen or there was some issue with the app. And my colleague, Maria, at that time, we used to share an apartment. So she would receive the call middle of the night, good evening, Amber Connect, how can I help you? And they would say, we would like to speak to your technical support. Please stay online, we'll connect you. And she'll come banging my door in the next room. And I will take that call and said, good evening, this is Amber Connect, how can I help you? This is how we started the journey of Amber Connect. I cleaned the floors. If you, we might show you later. I painted the first 200 square feet office in Haining Road by myself because I didn't have money to hire somebody to paint the wall. I've gone through everything one can think of that is needed in terms of resilience, in terms of everything that was required. And I was new in Jamaica. I barely knew anybody, and you know how it is difficult when you don't know anybody in Jamaica. It's very, very hard when you have no credibility established and you need to sell. And that's the picture. I painted the walls, I did everything myself, and what is amazing, Andrew Pearman is right here. That check that you see, that was my first customer with 1 million Jamaican dollars. So Andrew, thank you for being the first one to trust me. That was my first check ever, and that was also, I mean, I can tell you so many stories, but as Amber Connect grew, people realized we know how to build beautiful software. Then we went into Amber Innovations, which was my next business. Amber Innovations was a software development house, and now in 7 years' time since inception of this business, we are now over 1,000 software developers in-house on our payroll. All over the world, between Jamaica, South Africa, India, Dubai, everywhere, in all our offices. And we build phenomenal software for so many large banks, so many large companies all over the world. Have you used the JPS app in Jamaica? That was built by us. I'm very proud. I mean, a lot of, look at the new Palace Amusement app that was also built by us. And apart from that, we do a lot of work with banks and stuff like that. So that was our second business. We then moved on to the third one, which was Amber Fuels. Imagine this technology where you drive in, fill gas and leave, and your card is automatically charged, your app has your invoice, everything. That's the tech we built. And we're now working with a lot of large petroleum companies around the world, supplying them this technology. And after that, we built Amber Pay. See, there is an ecosystem that we started building one after another. So when we built Amber Fuels, we knew we needed a payment solution on top of it. So over time, we built one of the most sophisticated payment platforms in Jamaica now, and it is launched in South Africa and so many other countries. We built one of the most comprehensive digital wallet app that we are now supplying to banks, so we don't roll out ourselves. We are back end of a lot of banks across the world. And also on top of that, once we built the payment platform, we realized, okay, we also need rewards. So then we built Amber Rewards. It's a whole cut, copy, paste software that you can launch a rewards program for your own business in 24 hours. It's just building pieces of technology on top of each other, which became businesses by themselves. Don't ask why this, and even I can't answer. The only reason this, because I'm a pilot. I'm a licensed pilot for Jamaica. I've got a pilot license from South Africa. And being a pilot, it was my childhood dream. You might not know, when I was 4 years old, I got TB and something happened, and there's a medicine reaction. I lost my speech. I couldn't speak a word till the age of 16. Between 16 to 20, I was stammering so much that it will take me 1 minute to say one sentence. And I did enroll when I was 18 at the flying school when I was 4 years old. Since then, I used to watch the sky and wanted to fly planes. But at the age of 18, when I enrolled into the flying school, I couldn't pass the radio exam. And thankfully, I didn't pass. At least I could come to Jamaica and be here with you also. And I realized that day that my speech, I couldn't speak, and that is why I couldn't do it. And that little seed remained in my heart. And 3 years ago, I went and got my license, and I speak to international traffic now all over the world when I fly. But also, I saw a gap in the tourism aviation in Jamaica. There is a big, big tourism market in Jamaica, and we're not giving a 3D experience to our visitors yet. And after a lot of interventions from a lot of people, after 2 years of struggle and hard work, we now have acquired 5 aircraft. They're all coming to Jamaica. A few of them are already here. And we also, only yesterday, received our final confirmation from the Negril Airport to get our hangar built. And the business should be off the ground this year in the next 4 or 5 months at the most. And we're moving ahead very fast. So on the top, you see that is a microlight. It's very safe. It flies on top of the beaches, 1,000 feet. You get the most amazing experience of Jamaica from the top, and we are also into a jet share program that is also coming right behind it. And after aviation, we went into CyberEye. We realized we are a big software house. We needed our own cybersecurity company. We bought out a cybersecurity company in US that made us very strong, and the posture that we could give to our customers also changed with this. So we do a lot of third-party cybersecurity. Then we went into Amber IoT. So it's another company we bought in South Africa. See, sometimes I can't build all the businesses myself. It's better to buy them out and change them into Amber. And these are all owned by the Jamaican headquartered Amber Group. All these businesses are owned by the Jamaican entity, which is the Amber Group. The Amber IoT, we realized we need to build hardware. we can't just keep building software. We also need different hardware for different use cases. Especially last year, we also acquired our license, Prime Minister, for rolling out our own 0G network in Jamaica from the Ministry of Science and Technology. So we are rolling out our own IoT data network, which is for things, not for phone calls, but only to communicate data from small, like vehicle trackers and asset management. Can you imagine? This network will give up to 100 kilometers of range into the sea for a fisherman to press a panic button, and we know to send the Coast Guard for rescue. It's a whole different level, and it could be the biggest backup for natural disasters because it doesn't need a lot of electricity and all of those. It's a low power network. After that, we started Amber Fund Me. It's a crowdfunding platform that we give it to banks. After that, we also recently, last year, took significant shares in Nationwide News Network to digitalize the media. Also, in March or April latest, we are launching 50 radios, 50 radio stations in a single app. And we received all our licensings already, so that's on its way. Our humanitarian outreach, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Amber Heart Academy. It's done phenomenal work over the last few years to educate so many youngsters on the most developing prospect for jobs, which is coding. And then we started coding in schools. And then, of course, you would remember during the pandemic, we built a massive piece of software for Jamaica, but not what many people know, that after we launched it in Jamaica and used it in Jamaica and opened our doors and brought back nearly 30,000 stranded citizens who couldn't come back home. And the technology allowed them to come in, and we could distribute them correctly, and we knew where they were, and we could manage the pandemic very well. But after Jamaica, 6, 7 other countries actually used our platform as well, which is a big success for Jamaica, that our tech was used across the whole of the Caribbean. So this is pretty much around the Amber Group. And why I shared with all of you what we did is because this is the journey that we've been through. To start a startup in 200 square feet with very little money and nobody trusting, to becoming one of the largest technology conglomerate of Jamaica now and serving 100 countries out of Jamaica. So I've gone through the startup journey. I know how difficult it is. I still remember the first time I went to an investor, Prime Minister in Jamaica in 2016. They said, fantastic product, well done, but I need you to step down as a CEO. And we will run the business because we know the Jamaica market. I just turned around and I left. If you take the heart out of the body, then there is no machinery left to use. And that is what allowed us to kind of look at the financial struggles I went through. Trying to find money every time you run out of money and you need a little more money to pay just the next bill, so that another customer can pay you some money and then you can get going. I've also gone through every single pressure that you can think of to handle a business at that time, to grow it myself. But over time, what I realized end of the day, thinking big, going global, building products that solve customer pain points, visually appealing and affordable solutions, that is the secret of Amber Group. That is why we got where we got, because we don't stop innovating. I still remember a few years ago, I had one, by the way, we are now, Amber Group has no external investors. The entire group is owned 100% by me now. We took out one minority in one of the businesses, and that was it. Because the struggle always remained, because not everybody understands your passion. And that is what brought us to thinking about UTech Launchpad, is because I don't want others to suffer what I went through. How hard it was to raise a business in Jamaica. It is difficult. You go to a bank, they might almost ask for your blood sample too before you get a penny. It's hard, it's real. It is real, it's a pain point, right? But then we also know that what makes success is innovations. Why Amber grew so fast? Because we built some very good applications and we used the right marketing techniques all around the world. I don't know if you're aware, but the Global Innovation Index currently ranks Jamaica 78 out of 132. We are that far behind when it comes to innovations as a country. And that is why our motivation behind this was to underscore our commitment for nurturing entrepreneurship and driving economic development. And this public-private partnership with UTech government and Amber together is what we really wanted to move to the next level. So what does UTech, I mean, you've heard Amber UTech Launchpad too many times, but what does it involve? What it involves is it's a comprehensive support system, end-to-end development and founder protection for any founder who wants to work with us under the Amber UTech umbrella. So what do we provide to the founders? One, we provide a whole end-to-end development of their product. You will never have to go beg for money to finish your product and roll it out into the market, ever. So that was the first big milestone we wanted to conquer. Because I have gone through that. I ran out of funding halfway. There was a friend of mine who loaned me some money, which is the usual startup case. I ran out of that funding, and then I said, who do I scratch my head and go beg for more? And no one is going to give you the money because they don't trust you. There was one friend of mine who gave me $12,000 in 2016 and took it back the next day. Because he realized that, what if I don't get it back? And $12,000 is a very rich man. But this is the reality of our life. So we decided we will not launch an incubator where you need to go beg for money every single milestone. How about, with such an army of software developers we have, how about we build everything you need to build as part of our contribution? Second, we provide a full founder protection also. That means there will be a capped equity. So that also means you'll always remain the majority shareholder of this business, no matter what I need to spend to get your business into 100 countries. It's a complete concept to company support, and we provide global sales and marketing support because we already built the rails to go into the whole world from here. And all we are doing is putting more bags on that, what do you call it? Carousel, right? And then where UTech's contribution made it absolutely sticky is UTech is going to provide the office infrastructure to all these startups. They will be receiving full support in terms of office space, electricity, internet, and proper training at the same time. So it'll be a one-year project. In 1 year, our intention is that we take you from training to, while we're parallelly building your product, and we launch you out into the whole world through our marketing channel. Amber is already serving more than millions of customers all over the world directly, and hundreds and thousands in Jamaica too. So we already have the whole ecosystem to launch them out into the world. And the next steps from here for Amber Launchpad, the applications will be open from today till April 6th. So for 1 month, you will go to the My Amber Group website, you click on the link, you go upload your concept, you upload what you want to build, and there are a series of questions you will answer, and you will go into a shortlisting process. Once the shortlisting process is over, the results will be announced on 25th of April, where we will start with season 1. I'm going to do it like Shark Tank. And we are also televising the whole event, every single thing. So we're going to do 10 seasons in 3 years to launch 100 startups. And between May and June, the TV pitching will happen. But before they come on the TV show to pitch their product, we will train them, we'll polish them, we will make sure they know how to deliver the message. Because once, you can build a beautiful design on a paper as an architect, but if you can't go sell it and you can't convince the other person that this is the best thing after sliced bread, it's useless. So we also need to polish them, hone them a little bit to how to make pitches, how to understand business, and be ready for questions that the judges will ask from the business community. And finally, we will take the first 10 startups from season 1 and bring them into UTech and roll them out in the next 1 year or so. But there'll be one season after another. We intend to do 10 seasons back to back in 3 years. That is why we say 100 startups in 1,000 days. Wouldn't it be amazing? 100 new businesses in Jamaica. So I want to thank UTech for allowing us, supporting us. I also want to invite the business community, especially since Chris is here. Please support us in the advertisements that we need to sponsor the TV shows. It's very expensive. But we want to give whole of Jamaica to become a part of the selection process also. So there will be voting systems and all of those things. So people can vote which entrepreneur they like, which concept they like, and we will take it from there. And apart from that, we invite all the aspiring entrepreneurs, investors, industry professionals to get involved with the Amber UTech Launchpad as participants, as mentors or supporters. And I want to just conclude by saying that we have a vision for the future of Jamaica's technology ecosystem, envisioning a thriving community of innovators, creators, and change makers, driving positive change and prosperity for all. Thank you.
All I have to say is, wow. Who's excited? Yes, that is amazingly exciting. And I'm going to be glued in to watching all 10 seasons because I'm going to be voting. You need a guest judge? I'll be a volunteer for whatever you need me for, because this is an incredible opportunity. I love to see the progress that we're making and the support for entrepreneurs, and most importantly, the financial support. Because I've spoken to probably hundreds of entrepreneurs by now, and the number one problem, they always tell me, the number one hurdle is getting the funding. Where do you get the money to launch this brilliant idea that I have? Where do I get the money to do the amazing things that I want to do for the country? And Amber UTech Launchpad solves that problem. So who's ready for some music? Yes. So you may know UTech for its focus on technology, as the name implies, also business. You may know them for sports as well. But UTech is also the home of some brilliant artists, including a talented saxophonist by the name of Christian Jones. Is Mr. Jones here? All right, let's welcome Christian Jones. He's going to be performing. Ah, here he is. Heal the World. No, We Are the World by Michael Jackson. Thank you, Christian. See, I was right the first time. It was Heal the World. My intuition kicked in. So for those of you watching online, if you're an entrepreneur, I hope you heard what Dushyant said, Ambassador Savaria said. Go to myambergroup.com because applications open today for the Amber UTech Launchpad, and you have until April 6th to apply. Spread the word. Tell all your entrepreneur friends, anybody who has an idea, anybody you know who needs some funding, who needs it, send them the link, myambergroup.com. Now, let me introduce our next speaker. I'm going to give you some hints, and let me see who can guess who this person is, because I have a lot of notes here. See who can guess. He's a prominent Jamaican business leader with a wealth of business and management experience in both the public and private sectors, spanning over 3 decades. All right, so that gives you an age group already, right? He's highly respected in the private sector, where he's held senior executive positions at Dano and Getty's Red Stripe, the ATL Sandoz Group, Air Jamaica. Narrowing it down yet? Yeah. I hear some people saying Chris. Let's see if it's him. He's also served as president of the private sector organization of Jamaica. Still meeting the criteria? You still think it's Chris? And in 2016, he received the Jamaica Observer Lifetime Achievement Award for Business. Just last year, he also got the UWI Mona School of Business Management's Outstanding Business Leader. Check all the boxes? Is it him? You stand by that? Yes, absolutely. You are correct. Our next speaker is Mr. Christopher Zaka.
Thank you, Kalila. You didn't have to let everybody know how old I am. Most Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Senator and Minister, Ambassador, President, Vice Chancellor, good friend sometimes, all other protocols observed. Thanks very much for having me at this event as we launch this initiative aimed at propelling Jamaica into the forefront of technological innovation for startups. Today I am particularly hopeful about the Amber UTech Launchpad, as it is my wish that we continue to modernize and digitally transform our nation as we also reshape Jamaica's technology landscape and provide essential support financing for startups and SMEs. I want to confirm that we do have the blood type of most people, but it's because of our health insurance business, not our bank. We don't collect that information at the bank. The Amber UTech Launchpad is important for us at Sagicor, as we know and appreciate the fact that the development of small and medium enterprise businesses plays an integral role in our economy and generates thousands and thousands of jobs for Jamaicans. Last year, in fact, Sagicor was visited by the president of the World Bank, Ajay Banga. Prime Minister, you kept me away from that meeting. I was with you, if you recall, and I gave that up. So, but I think it was more important that I met with you. So President Banga of the World Bank lauded our Sagicor Business Resource Center while visiting our center, and the World Bank has issued several reports within the last 15 years stating that the success and prosperity of third world and developing nations rest on supporting small business development. Financially, with business development acumen and with technology-based business solutions. Sound familiar to what you just said. At Sagicor, we have made a huge investment in providing support for SME clients, and across our group we have created customized SME products, grants, labs, and have provided training across the island. The Sagicor Innovation Lab here at UTech, and I commend you for following us in terms of supporting UTech and the young people of Jamaica, And I urge other businesses and visionary leaders such as yourself to join with us to further invest in our youth and to support UTech and other universities in Jamaica. Our lab here at UTech draws inspiration from internationally recognized models and is based on creating a collaborative framework between us and UTech to explore emerging technologies. It is out of this collaboration that the Sagicor Innovation Lab was born, and this partnership is not only a bridge between corporate and academic spheres, but will play an important role in modernizing our education system. The Innovation Lab employs cloud computing and the mean technology development stack, fostering student teams working on diverse projects in extended reality, artificial intelligence, digital payments, and biometrics. The Agile methodology guides their project implementation with a collaborative university space. Additionally, it sounds to me that there may be some candidates for your Launchpad in this group. Additionally, we have hosted 4 annual innovation challenges, providing students with a platform to showcase ideas to corporate execs. Sounds again familiar. Launched the Sagicor Plus project, which introduced facial recognition technology to the pensions industry, the first of its kind in the Caribbean. Yes, I think that's worth a clap. We have had discussions with one of your advisors about helping the NIS to adopt this technology to proof of life for pensioners. A campus digital wallet featuring WhatsApp and AI integration will be piloted at the Student Union in the near future. And a paid internship program offers UTech students real-world experience by working on our Sagicor team projects. Overall, we have invested over $100 million over the last 5 years in this program. You're welcome, sir. At Sagicor, we imagine a future where technology transforms classrooms into dynamic learning environments, where students engaged with extended reality, explore the realms of artificial intelligence, and utilize digital payments seamlessly. We want everyone here to share this with us, as this is where we can turn that imagined environment into reality. The Amber UTech Launchpad amplifies this vision, taking our students from the classroom and fully supporting their potential as startups towards success. And we at Sagicor applaud these efforts, the efforts of both Amber and of UTech. Give them a round of applause, please. So folks, as we embrace these groundbreaking initiatives, let's not forget the profound impact technology should have on our education at all levels. Modernizing our education system with technology is paramount to preparing our youth for the opportunities and challenges of the future. Let's continue to focus on creating a future illuminated by the brilliance of Jamaican innovation and modernized education at all levels, bolstered by initiatives such as this. Again, congrats. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Zaka. Let's play another round of Guess the Speaker. Here are your clues. He's a lawyer by profession, but you may know him for his outspoken positions on national issues as a past president of the PSOJ and former vice president of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association. Oh, we have some bright people in the room. You all know who it is. So, Mr. Mitchell, Howard Mitchell, maintained a successful commercial law practice for 35 years with concentrations in mining law and taxation before retiring, but he's also demonstrated, as you all know, a very strong commitment to public service for decades, serving on several public and private sector boards. In fact, as we speak, he is the director on 7 boards and chairman of 3 more. Where do you find the time? Where? Especially when you consider that he also loves fishing and traveling. He's been married for over 49 years, and he has 2 daughters and 2 grandsons. You're doing a lot, Mr. Mitchell. We appreciate you. Please welcome Mr. Howard Mitchell.
Good evening. I would like to ask you to allow me to say, in the interest of time, all protocols observed, except I want to recognize the presence of the Prime Minister because his commitment to education, to the training of our people is outstanding. And in that context, sir, I salute you. My invitation from President Brown encouraged me to share aspects of my experience as a business leader with you, and therefore, because of that, I'm compelled to depart from my usual outpouring of criticism for the political system and the political directorate, which considering that relax. Two of my good friends are here from that sector, and I think it is a wise and prudent course of action for me to refer it. I am truly and deeply honored to be a part of this initiative, and I congratulate Ambassador Savagia, the Amber Group, and UTech for taking a bold and absolutely necessary step to accelerate the development of our country with an acute focus on entrepreneurial education at this most vital level. Entrepreneurship is a system, a process of taking risks and of failing sometimes. And unfortunately, our fellow Jamaicans continue to see failure as fatal, and we stigmatize those who have the vision and the courage to take the risks. We perhaps too often view them as reckless or foolhardy or stupid and do not recognize their boldness and their courage. As an entrepreneur myself, I've come to realize that, as Winston Churchill once said, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And I am sincerely encouraged by this initiative, and as a member of the private sector that stands to benefit tremendously from the success of this venture, I want to pledge and put on record my personal support and my willingness to help in whatever way I can. We in the private sector, and you like this especially, we in the private sector are often quite happy to sit back and put all the responsibility for national development on the shoulders of the government, and to say, often not quite truthfully, we pay our taxes, the government must do the job. My favorite topic nowadays is the shortage of labor, skilled and unskilled, and we complain that we cannot get people to work for us, that when we do get workers, they won't stay with us, and the productivity is low, and their work ethic is poor. Some of this is true, but we as leaders must ask why. When I was chairman of Mona School of Business and Management, I was horrified to hear that some 50% of our graduates migrated soon after graduation. As chairman of the Island Grill Group, I see the turnover rate in the food and restaurant sector and hear the lament of the inability to retain workers in all categories of employment. The problem has existed for a long time. And it's not to say that attempts have not been made to address it. The Jamaica Productivity Center has from 2003 been striving to deal with these issues. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security fully appreciates the challenges, and there are international agencies that have put a lot of money and time and resources to try and address this, but the decline continues. There's no question that we start at a disadvantage because of the openness of our small economy, because of our historically poor management of our socio-economic affairs, and because developed countries plunder our human capital at will. Similarly, we are all aware of the severe inadequacies of our education system and of the irrelevancies of much of our training opportunities. And we know that it takes time and resources to change things. The linked challenges of controlling costs and maintaining quality, relevance, and utility are overwhelming some universities and colleges globally. And universities are seeking to survive in various ways. UTech must choose a path that fits Jamaica's policy directions and our growth model. And that choice has to be made now. And it has to be made now because for the first time in a long time, we have capable fiscal management. We have profitability is returning to much of our economy, and the state is moving to address the inadequacies of training in many of its educational institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, in those circumstances, is it not time for the private sector to increase its attention to on-the-job training, to providing more in its budget for training for its employees? Should this not be a priority item in our annual budgets to upskill our very own staff and to improve the working conditions of its human capital, to establish performance-based pay, to incentivize them to stay in our country and to raise our productivity? That, my friends, is what entrepreneurship and progress is about. That is how we retain our people here in Jamaica and empower them with the skills that are needed to persevere and grow personally and professionally. And this is an excellent opportunity, an example of what we are talking about, focusing on human capital and the creativity of our people. I often wonder how, in the midst of the complaints about high turnover rates of employees and low productivity, companies like Sandals, Knutsford Express, Sagicor, Caramed Group, Spur Tree Spices, JMMB, and Grace Kennedy managed to produce consistently good results and keep their people at work. How it is that the National Baking Company manages to maintain much lower percentages of employee turnover and much higher productivity than the national standard. They must be doing something different from the rest of us. I believe that it is because they have recognized the value of human capital and that human capital is Jamaica's most significant and valuable resource. And I call names at the risk of making enemies, but omelets are not made with unbroken eggs. And I often hear how companies will go out of business if they spend more money on the working conditions of their employees. If it is that they depend on the exploitation of their human capital to be successful, then maybe an objective study would reveal that they shouldn't be in business. And while I'm on the topic of objective studies and standards of working conditions, another budget debate has been opened, another throne speech has been made, and I didn't hear a mention of parliamentary consideration of the 6-year-old Marshall Hall Labour Reform Commission report. Again, we must ask why. It is critical if a national effort is going to be made to improve productivity. The nation needs to understand the conditions and the circumstances of our labor laws and what is needed to improve the structure in which our people work. This must be discussed in the boardrooms, in the parliament, on TV, on the radio, in the street. We need our people to come together on the issue of whether or not we can improve productivity on our own and with our resources, and whether the structure that we operate under is efficient to do so. We suffer from a national avoidance syndrome, ladies and gentlemen, a cultural tendency to ignore the 600-pound gorilla in the room until it threatens to squash us, and then we go to another room. speaking of 600-pound gorillas, and I promise you, this is the last controversial matter. I personally support the free movement of labor. And I have noted the call for the importation of skilled and unskilled workers into our island. And while I'm not opposed to the idea in principle, I caution that it should be based on careful study and should not disenfranchise either those of our workers in jobs and in need of skills, nor those of the approximately 700,000 of our citizens, or 50% of our potential workforce, who choose not to be in the workforce and to scam and hustle and engage in illegal or quasi-legal activity in order to live. This is not how we're going to get to Vision 2030. We get to Vision 2080, but not 2030. So we need the kind of smart collaboration that has occurred here today in order to solve this problem. We need to come together. And I encourage the private sector and the state to come, put aside the little petty ego things and focus on the real issues of our country. Come together and put our resources together, because we can do it. In closing, I want to once again congratulate UTech, Ambassador Dushyant Savadia, and the Amber Group, and all who have contributed to this wonderful initiative. I wish for you Godspeed and every success. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for your patience and tolerance in listening to me. I hope that what I have said will be an occasion for dialogue and not diatribe. And I thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. He's so right, isn't he? Also, you agree with the controversy? Gotcha. But yes, entrepreneurs, who better to solve our nation's problems than entrepreneurs? Who better to employ thousands of Jamaicans than entrepreneurs? Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to point out who better than the philanthropist in the room as well, because Amber Group happens to be one of the most charitable companies in Jamaica. They're only 8 years old, yet last year alone, they spent $100 million to provide opportunities through internship. And not only that, in the past 3 years, they've spent $200 million for the Coding Academy and associated courses. So the Launchpad now becomes a one-of-its-kind facility that we've never seen in Jamaica before, funding everything all the way to the deployment of the business. So I want you to turn your attention now to the screen, and let's watch this video about the Amber UTech Launchpad.
Imagine a place where innovation isn't just a buzzword, but a way of life. Welcome to the Amber Group, nestled in the vibrant Jamaica in the heart of the Caribbean. Here, we're not just participants in the technology revolution, we're leading it. At Amber Group, we believe technology has the unparalleled power to transform lives, drive societal progress, and reshape economies. We view startups as beacons of change, tackling long-standing challenges with fresh solutions, sparking job creation, and fueling economic vibrancy. They're not just businesses, they're the architects of tomorrow. The University of Technology Jamaica stands at the pinnacle of education and innovation, a titan in the realm of knowledge. UTech Jamaica is more than an institution. It's a crucible of future leaders, entrepreneurs, and change makers, all dedicated to pushing the limits of what's possible. In this spirit of relentless innovation, the Amber UTech Launchpad was conceived, a dynamic force igniting the potential of digital startups in Jamaica. More than an incubator, it's a commitment to growth, a source of inspiration for a new era of entrepreneurs ready to take the world by storm. The people of Jamaica are a reservoir of untapped potential. bursting with revolutionary ideas capable of transforming industries, uplifting communities, and significantly enhancing our nation's prosperity. The Amber UTech Launchpad is here to dismantle the barriers that stand in their way, offering unmatched support and creating an environment where visionary minds can flourish. The Amber UTech Launchpad revolutionizes entrepreneurship with comprehensive support that includes end-to-end product development for digital startups. Every IT product, regardless of scale, is crafted to perfection. We're here to bring your vision to life, from the drawing board to global markets, without you having to spend a dime. Founder protection. As investors, we help you to materialize your dream without giving up control in your business, regardless of our investment size. Your vision, your control, secured. Global marketing, sales, and administrative support. Tap into our global network spanning 100 countries with access to top-tier expertise in finance, marketing, legal, and sales. Your startup won't just launch, it'll soar. Training and mentorship. Navigate the entrepreneurial journey with confidence, guided by seasoned mentors and comprehensive training programs designed to elevate your business acumen. With the power of Amber UTech Launchpad behind them, Jamaican entrepreneurs will transform their dreams into reality, building enterprises that will not only redefine our nation but make waves across the globe. Your future awaits. Join the Amber UTech Launchpad today at myambergroup.com and begin your journey to becoming the next global sensation. Let's innovate together.
I like how that ended. Let's innovate together. Where are the unicorns? You guys know any unicorns? We want to bring the unicorns into the Amber UTech Launchpad. So encourage them, encourage your friends and family, encourage your children, encourage anybody you know who has an interest to go to myambergroup.com and apply to be a part of the first cohort. So if all of this isn't exciting, I don't know what is, but without a doubt, government support is always critical to private sector development. It's very difficult to grow in a vacuum, right? So who better to talk about that than Senator Auburn Hill, our Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce.
How wonderful to be back in an auditorium, the theater of learning that UTech is so prominent for. The Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, Ambassador Dushyant Savadia, founder and CEO of Amber Group and Ambassador and Special Investment Envoy for Technology, appointed by our Prime Minister. Mr. Kevin Brown from Rolls-Royce and other places. Nice to have a smart, young, really outstanding engineer to run UTech that can put in a lot of long years to make this the institution that it can and must become and is becoming. Mr. Christopher Zaka walks around with the money bags. President and CEO of Sagicor Group. And of course, Mr. Howard Mitchell. Know him long time, from a long time, and him always controversial. And I said, oh, you weren't going to be controversial. No, I didn't say that. I just said I wouldn't attack you. All the people of Amber Group, members of the UTech, Jamaica's Council, and the members of faculty and staff of the university, members of the business community, media practitioners, and of course, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm just coming from Parliament. I had to be before the Finance Committee of Parliament to explain what we're going to do in our budgets, get a lot of questions, and Some of them were these. What do you think of AI and the threats? Member of Parliament asking me. Said AI, when Microsoft took it public, I remember it was November or whenever it was, or a year before, I saw it as I saw mobile telephony. Before, let's say 2003, 2004, maybe 5, people in Jamaica, India, Sri Lanka, had to wait 5 years to get a landline, if you get one. And mobile telephony, for which one of the first loans I gave at NCB when I came home, Sandra will remember, she was on the board then and on the board now still, was a $27 million loan to Digicel to launch Digicel's business in Jamaica. And soon after that, a very popular politician who I really liked, now deceased, could say, we don't have to wait 5 years. I can say now, hello, hello, I have 2 phones, I can call myself. So I don't deny that there might be a threat, and there is a threat from AI. But we in Jamaica, and I'm so glad Amber Group is onto this, must see the opportunities. You can always see the threats, and then you never venture out. Oh, I can't speak, and so I can't fly, and I'm going to die. No, I'm not going to die. I'm going to start an empire, and look where he comes to start it, in Jamaica. We're so happy to have you. Ambassador Deshant, we're happy to have you here. So when they asked me about it, I said, no, I'm looking at the opportunities. Why the opportunities? I just told you, you just asked me about the fact that, or the same member, asked me about the fact that we have 4.2% unemployment, very low, historically low. What are we going to do about looking after the BPO and the knowledge industry? I said, very simple. We have a small country. It's not contiguous to other countries. And so, unlike Europeans, we can't invade anybody. So we have to go and negotiate new markets overseas. How are we going to serve them? The BPO business, the knowledge business in Jamaica is over $1 billion, US dollars. How are we going to serve them? We're going to have to upskill the Jamaicans we have. Howard talks about 700,000 not in employment, business in Jamaica. Some are elderly, some are too young, some are studying, some might choose not to work. Some can work, and they need to be upskilled, and HEART is doing that. But Amber has picked out a select group of that number and said, we are going to spend our money. We're going to infuse our technology into your brain. We're going to make you businessmen. We're going to make you businesswomen. We're going to make you successful. And yes, some of you might not make it at first, but at first you don't succeed. Try and try again. Remember, my granny used to tell me that. It's still true. So he brings this up, and he looks at the opportunities. And we have low unemployment, so we must upskill. Boy, am I happy Amber is here at this time. Just when we hit historical low unemployment. So then we are going to have to upskill and step up and make sure we sell new and different products to the world through our brain power. Because, as we say, we can't expand the land. But government, as Kalila said, must provide the space. We provide the playing field. We want to make it as level as possible, as even as possible. And we use the tax dollars that we get to help other people, to help people in business. The agencies, I have 20 agencies in my ministry. JAMPRO, JBDC, BSJ, that's Bureau of Standards, the Company Office of Jamaica, all of them there, and a whole set of others, JIPO, to help ordinary Jamaicans run their business. We take them out of their offices on road shows across Jamaica because many ordinary people, MSMEs, won't come into the bank. I know that from when I ran NCB. They won't come into the agencies, so we take the agencies to them, circle around a big auditorium in hotels, and we talk to them. So when Dushyant is doing his thing and doing his launchpad and they launch, they're going to want money. The DBJ is there under the Prime Minister's ministry. Biggie is there to help you, and they can help you. The Exim Bank is there in my ministry is there to help you. JBDC is now getting $100 million this year, Jamaican, from the European Union to help businesses. We're finding ways to help you. And above all, in 2015, when it was said the junior stock exchange must be changed because of an agreement we were going to sign, we said no, not going to change. Audley Shaw almost went ballistic. He was the shadow minister of finance at the time. 2016, just before the election, then leader of the opposition, now prime minister, went to the stock exchange and said, we are going to keep it and we're going to strengthen it. The first thing Audley did, I was his senior advisor at the time, was to make sure we strengthen the junior stock exchange. So your launchpad people can get money. That is not, they don't have to pay it back every month in a loan, but equity that rich people like Howard and Chris can put in. And they wait till the company become, you think is your loan can attack? You remember we were in the same board together where we gave money. So they get the money to go and build their business, not as a loan. And Chris has to make loans. I make my living for all my years out of lending money. Loans are important, but equity is vital. So the government of Jamaica, the Andrew Holness administration, pumped money back in the junior stock exchange, kept it alive, and today billions of dollars have been given to ordinary Jamaicans. One guy, Ricardo Alling, I take him with me on my business missions. Traveler, you know him. You know him. I see you smiling. Ricardo has one-on-one business that is putting technology into schools, and while Campion can have all the best teachers they want, Ricardo is building a system with the Ministry of Education that the ordinary school in St. Elizabeth, I'm from St. Elizabeth country, but we have a great institution called Monroe. But other schools can then get the same training that Campion gets because the technology is taking it to them. So this evening, we're here to celebrate Dushyant and Amber Group and Water Group from Jamaica. And constantly, Dushyant says to me when I speak to him, he tells me, oh, I'm going to South Africa. Ah, you have a company in South Africa? No, everything is headquartered in Jamaica. He says that with great pride. I watch him on social media walk up in the Himalayas and mark Jamaica on a big piece of rock up there. Jamaica is right up there because Dushyant took it there. So the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Jamaica's business ministry, is pleased, I'm here very pleased this evening to be at the launch of Amber UTech Launchpad ceremony, to see what two bright young men are doing, Dushyant and Dr. Brown. We see that you collaborate, and lots of other people who around them who make it work. They get the naming this evening. But the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce is here to provide assistance for the nurturing environment that Amber is preparing for young Jamaicans. And as we look at people leaving Jamaica, very soon you're going to hear people coming back to Jamaica, coming back, leaving some very big names in the technology business to say, I want to come back home and work. Many of us came back to Jamaica not because we had to. We had alternatives. But we want to come back here. Dushyant didn't come here because he didn't have any alternatives. He has a whole continent called India. I know it very well. I've worked many years in India. My career was built in India. When I came back to to NCB, I brought 15 Indians with me that brought the technology that we had. We're just putting in the new technology, and we had to have them. Infosys was a provider. And so I know that continent. He didn't have to leave it. And you know where India is today? It's the largest, fastest growing large economy in the world. He's in Jamaica. We're happy to have you. Glad you're here. And so today, as we mark this launch, we want to see that we have significant growth in local and foreign direct investments. Amazing. When foreign direct investors want to invest, they look for technology. Amber is producing it. Creating an enabling business environment. Creating jobs. And above all, we will be exporting knowledge services because, I'm going to leave you with this one number because everywhere I go, I leave it. For 61 of our 62 years, we've had a negative trade balance. The last time we had a positive trade balance was 1966. Long time ago, too long ago. We're going to have to change that. It won't take 6 months. It probably won't be done in 6 years, but it has to be done, and we must start it now. I'm glad Amber is here because a lot of those things is, if he's selling to millions of people around the world, how many millions we have in Jamaica? So you know he's exporting. We're happy for that. We want to see that you continue that much, that well. And so I want to say to you, this is a message akin to what Howard has been saying. And I've been saying for a year now, since I've been in the ministry, a year and a half, that as we get to lower unemployment and near full employment, because in an emerging market, 4.2% unemployment is pretty much full employment. So when we're there, the businesses, and I've been saying this, Howard, because I did it at NCB. I brought in the 15 of the brightest minds from the university. I said to the Vice Chancellor, just send me the 15 best graduates. I'll take them. I don't care if they study scripture. I want the mind. We'll train them. And we had them, because that's what the training I got after I left the business school in Boston and went to New York. They paid for me to learn for 9 months, not doing the work. Because they said, you think your business school is good? We're going to train you how you do banking the way we want you to do it. So I learned that, took it to NCB. Most of them now run other business elsewhere. But businesses have to invest to make sure you have the right people you want. So as we do that, I want to see that big companies also help small companies. We made sure we bought all our uniforms at NCB after I went there. Sandra will remember, this woman had nothing. She had a 1,500 square foot place with 7 people working. She was in a residential area. She would have been kicked out. We brought her in. I said we must choose one, give it to her. 5-year contract, $80 million. She almost died of collapse. Because she couldn't believe it. That's what big companies do. I knew how to finance contract, so we financed it. She bought her machines, moved into today, Mark Designs, that's a company, Miss Marcia Nicely, has a 24,000 square foot uniform manufacturing space, employs 140 Jamaicans, and export to 13 countries. Big companies must find ways to help small companies. Big companies must say, this year I'm going to spend $50 million or $1.5 billion. This percentage of this spend must be in Jamaica, where I have my business and where I employ the people who make my business. It has to be purposeful. Business leaders must make that decision. Amber has done it. $100 million last year to help ordinary people. What a great company. Welcome him. Thank you so much, Jashant, and bless you.
Thank you very much, Minister Hill. So our final speaker of the evening, you guess the speaker? No hints. You must know by now. Who is it? Yes. Our final speaker of the evening certainly needs no introduction, and I'm sure he's here in good spirits as well, fresh off the heels of an election victory, local government. Okay, that's what I thought. Let's welcome the most honorable Prime Minister, Andrew Holness.
Thank you. I was just thinking, what kind of speech should I give? You know, should I attack Howard? Or should I just be graceful like Chris? But let me, first of all, thank the Master of Ceremonies for her masterful handling of the event so far. And acknowledge our Minister of Industry and Commerce, Senator Robin Hill, Mr. Ali McNabb, our Pro-Chancellor of the University of Technology, the very impressive Dr. Kevin Brown, the new President of the University of Technology, with so much promise for the institution. Allow me also to acknowledge the work of the newly appointed Ambassador Dushant Savalia, founder and CEO of the Amber Group. And let me acknowledge all of you who are here. Thanks for coming and thanks for being part of the audience. And as I sat and listened to the preaching, I decided that I would not deliver another sermon. So I'll make a few points. Did that one connect? I'm very pleased to be here today at this Amber UTech Launchpad event. This initiative is a critical one, particularly at this time in Jamaica. Entrepreneurship is an essential driver of economic growth and prosperity. It is the driver of innovation. It is what drives us to take advantage of opportunities. It hastens structural changes in the economy. It attracts new resources towards new products and services, while reallocating services that are becoming obsolete. The entrepreneur is therefore an important, indispensable economic agent. So I would like you to think of it in this way. Most of us want to get a job and a good salary. We just want to be paid. We will go to work and we will do what we are told, and we will try to do it to the best of our ability. But what happens when a company gets a proposition to say, for example, we can now take pictures in a digital format? And that company says, really, why would anybody do that? The greatest thing for film is the disposable camera. That is where the innovation is. What happens when resources shift from film to digital media? What happens to that business and those employees? But let's look at the reverse. What happens to the company that embraces the innovation? What happens to the people who get employed in that? Of course, everyone here would know the story of, what happened to one of our world-renowned companies that invested heavily in film and turned down the opportunity. Kodak. It's the entrepreneur who did that. So the entrepreneur is a very important agent in economic development. We went through a period of time in Jamaica where entrepreneurship died. Yeah. We went through a period of time when there was no motivation to be an entrepreneur. You know, there was a period of time in Jamaica where no one needed to take risks. There was a period of time where it was very hard to take risk. The business environment was very volatile. It is good in a sense that we have moved past that to the point where our population has forgotten it. The conversation has moved on to the point where we don't recall that period of time, to where then the budget is being read, a question can be asked about AI. I have sat in the parliament for 27 years, and during those difficult times, no one was asking about innovation and new technology. They were asking about why are we facing new taxes? So whilst I always pay attention to my boss, Howard Mitchell, and his sometimes pertinent criticisms, I think the statements should be balanced by what our realities and our history and the context in which we exist. It is important in a democracy to have very strong opinion leaders and persons who are in positions of authority must listen very carefully to the critiques, especially ones that are constructive. But they also have to always connect the dots of history so that no one opinion leader dominates and influences policy all over the place. And I do pay close attention, always make mental notes, if not notes physically, about some of the things that are said and need to be done. But as Howard actually said, we can't do everything in 12 months. Not everything can be done in one budget cycle. There is a period of time for development, a period of time for execution, and a period of time for which results happen. And there is usually lags in between. So, you know, we've gone through an important event in our democracy. And what you see happening generally is that people are expecting results. And the conversation is not that they're, unreasonable, but the conversation is that, look, we have been suffering for a very long time. And governments, as Howard has always tried to push, and Chris, and we have to develop our policy at greater speed and implement at greater speed and get results much faster than we are getting. That's the truth, that's the reality. So Howard, I started the year with a mantra focusing on two things. One was peace, and the other was productivity. And I kept repeating that. Jamaica must focus now on peace and productivity. Those are two critical things. One of the greatest challenge I face, we've overcome the fiscal issues, as you have said. We're not short of ideas. We have all the ideas. We have all the ideas in government, and all the ideas in the opposition, and all the ideas on the internet, all the ideas on social media. We have all the ideas. The challenge I face is how to get the public bureaucracy to increase its speed of delivery. That is the greatest challenge that the administration faces now. The country is going through a series of simultaneous transformation in institutions. The public may not see the big picture, the arrangement of the architecture of transformation, because the results have not yet started to come. But I am here to tell you that the transformations are becoming entrenched, they are developing pace, and results will come. But when you put that beside 50 years of suffering, people do get frustrated. When you put that beside some people seeming to be benefiting, and I am not benefiting, that leads to a kind of another set of inequity, unfairness, and frustration. So thank you, Dushyant, for allowing me to use this platform to kind of set some context, to explain to our listening audience what is happening in the country. Sometimes a bit of history does help to place things in context. And I always, consider myself to be young. Not recognizing that, there is a generation much younger than I am who have no clue, absolutely no clue of what happened in 1983. No clue of what happened in the 90s. Between January 1983 and March 2010, that's 27 years, the Bank of Jamaica 3 months Treasury bill yield was in double digits, meaning that it was higher than 10%. The worst period of these very high interest rates, which was a policy, was the period between June 1990 and August 1999, when the T-bill yield was in excess of 20% for the entire period. And it went as high as 50% in May 1992. Now, some people may not know what is a T-bill and so forth. And I'm not going to go into that because that's not the essence of what I'm saying. The essence of what I'm saying is, if you were a bank, if you were an investment house, if you were a securities dealer, if you were in any way minded to do investments, you did not have to think of a new product, a new app. You didn't have to innovate. All you needed to do was to take the little money that you have. And they say invest, but that's not what they were doing. That's not investing. Precisely. They just lend it to the government. Or, to be more, they saved, put it that way. And much of the businesses that we have today that claim to be financial gurus, to be some, wizard of economic innovation and ingenuity. That's what they came out of. Including those who pontificate today about how an economy should be run and how they have a better perspective on how an economy must be run. I just thought I would put that into context. So the next time you speak, Howard, you can speak on that and speak on it powerfully as you speak on other things. Jamaica had an inflation rate of 77% in 1 year. 77%. We're quarreling about, just after the pandemic, we went up as high as 12, and we're now at about 5, they're about 6, we're hovering somewhere there. 77%. I'm looking at the audience, at the young people there who would have been around in the 1990s, or may not have been born even in 1992, 1993, would know nothing about this. But that is where we're coming from. 77% inflation in 1 year under the government of the people who would want to tell this administration how to manage inflation. The government itself, during that period of time, was borrowing and crowding out private sector investment. Essentially, what it meant was that the private sector couldn't get funds at a lower manageable rate because they had to be competing with the government that was just borrowing. That conversation has just evaporated. We don't remember those days. The government itself was borrowing at rates of 20 to 50%. And that essentially became the base rate at which the private sector the banks would lend the private sector. So we were literally stifling entrepreneurs. And then we had the fatal blow of FinSac. This was a kind of final blow that killed off entrepreneurism, killed off innovation in Jamaica. So for those who weren't born in the 1990s, and for those who are wedded to that period of the 1990s, and for those who are uncomfortable by what I'm saying, it is the reality that we have to confront when we speak about our situation today. So I raise it because I want to make a connection with what we are doing here today. For us to move to the next level of Jamaican development, we have to treat with productivity. So I'm supporting your point, Howard. So we're not at odds about this issue of productivity. As a country, all of us made a sacrifice to solve the fiscal issue. That's really the macro issue. The macro issue gives you the platform of stability. Once you solve the fiscal issue, then you don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to have to face new taxes. The risk of new taxes always exists if exogenous shocks happen. But in a well-planned fiscal ecosystem, you put in place buffers so that you can withstand exogenous shocks. So we were able to withstand a shock such as COVID, and we didn't need to put on an additional tax. The problem with why we have to keep reminding people about the importance of maintaining the fiscal discipline is that the indiscipline of expenditure driven by political expediency is always there. Politicians are always going to be tempted to win over the electorate by making expenditure promises that will end up ultimately, inevitably, in new taxes. Why? Because the electorate does not always make the connection that every new dollar of expenditure, if it does not come from economic growth and expansion, it must come from borrowing or new taxes. And if it comes from borrowing, inevitably it is going to come from new taxes. I wish that the Jamaican electorate would not fall for this. It is time that our electorate makes the connection that any increase we're going to have in the government's revenues, in what we are able to spend, it must now come from productivity. Each and every one of us in this room and everyone listening on social media and wherever this is going to be repeated, all the wishes that we have, all the desires that we have, all our ambitions, it comes from what we are able to produce. That's it. I am committed, and I've committed my administration to run the economy in such a way that we will never become a burden on you. That's number one. And secondly, we're running the economy in such a way that we will care for the most vulnerable, for the poor. We will also run the economy in such a way that we will create the opportunities for persons who are these special agents in the economy, the entrepreneurs, to come up on a platform. I don't know if you were listening very carefully. So Duchamp came and explained what he's going to do. And Chris said, I've been doing that. And I said, I'm happy for that. I'm happy for that because more companies need to start doing this. This is such an important part of increasing not just productivity, but just increasing our general output. We need new businesses in our economy. And how do new businesses arise? Firstly, let's make sure there's a good fiscal environment. Ensure business people don't have to worry about taxes, which could be unpredictable. You keep an interest rate policy that is stable. There's a stable outlook for inflation. We have rules-based in how we manage the fiscal side of things, and you can have confidence that government will manage expenditures to not create the pressures for new taxes. So once you have solved that, then you're going to see a lot of people come up. But then growth is not a macroeconomic endeavor only. It is really a microeconomic pursuit. You literally have to go firm by firm by firm by firm. And so this is part of it. Government has developed a very comprehensive growth driving policy. In the DBJ, we have the Big E program. And that program, I was very pleased to launch an app, a new business process for a 100-year-old company in Mandeville last week. And so far, the Big E program has assisted over 1,335 MSMEs in developing their business. It is a US $25 million project financed by the Inter-American Development Bank and executed by the Development Bank of Jamaica in 2001, based upon the performance of the program. In 2021, based upon the performance of the program, the European Union awarded a non-reimbursable grant of $8.2 million to support the initiative. The objective of Big E is to promote sustainable and robust growth among startups and micro, small, and medium enterprises in Jamaica. Specifically, its objectives are to promote innovation and productivity among established MSMEs with high growth potential, to promote sustainable and disruptive growth in scalable startups, and to create a sustainable pipeline of high-growth startups and a strong supporting ecosystem for entrepreneurship. The Big E program has, since its startup in September 2020, invested $4.97 million in the MSME sector, and that includes supporting projects, patents, and improving the quality of business management, improving their scalability, improving their business processes, and including the integration of technology into business. So we are literally working to create new businesses in Jamaica. Howard made a profound point about, there are companies in Jamaica that are doing well, and you call the name of a few of them. I won't call any names, but there are companies that are doing very well. They're growing, and if you talk to the business people, there are temporal issues with outlook, but the long-term outlook is that they can invest and they can expand. But we don't have enough businesses in Jamaica. We believe that the businesses that we have, they're great and they're great. Well, we need to double the number of businesses that we have. We need to double the number of businesses and we need to double them in size. What I'm trying to do is to shock the country out of its slumber, because there's still this lag from the 90s. And that psychological impact is not just a devastation in business, but it is a devastation in the enterprising culture. And we are naturally enterprising people. We have become afraid to fail in business. It is, in other words, the view is we can't afford to fail in business. So no one takes any risk, and therefore there is no innovation. And because there is no innovation, there is nothing new. And so this critical agent that should be the catalyst of the expansion of the economy, that critical agent is stifled. So the question, therefore, is, with our fiscal constraints, can government provide venture capital? Can the DBJ become a venture capitalist bank? And the answer is not yet. We still have to manage government resources to be very careful. But how do we leverage government resources with private sector who they don't have to face the fiscal issues that we do? So you might be wondering, why am I standing here promoting this? Precisely because government has to take its resources and leverage it with the private sector so that we can build this ecosystem of venture capital. Where we are going to put our money is to support, as I've said earlier, the integration of technology in business processes, the protection of patents, those kinds of things where if you go to Parliament and somebody chooses to say, why you did this, and make a political issue of it, it's defensible. But if a private sector person decides, I'm going to put down, $50 million on an idea, you don't have to come to Parliament and face the criticism if it fails. If the government put down the money and it became a unicorn, nobody would give the government any praise. They would not even remember that the government put $50 million in there. But let it fail. and therefore governments can't take that risk. Not yet. But we pair with private sector. The private sector can take that risk. I mean, 90% of startups fail. 90% of startups fail. And I believe it's probably about 1,300 startups have reached unicorn status, meaning they have a market value of $1 billion of the millions of startups that happen each year. So we only need one to be successful. That's the truth. And therefore we have to invest in a pool, in a number. The way in which Ambassador Savalia is going about it is to try and democratize it, to open it to the public, to have public participation, to increase the kind of buzz around it. And who knows, maybe that will pull people from all over who have excellent ideas to come in. There's no loss there. Once you go through that program, you are going to be trained. You're going to get exposure. You say the Shark Tank idea. I was reading before I came here, there's a company that's a multi-billion-dollar company now, and they went to pitch on the Shark Tank. And the idea was to have a doorbell with a digital footprint, so you could stay from anywhere in the world, press the doorbell, and it comes up on your phone. And they ran him out of the room. They didn't take the idea. That company is Ring. Eventually, Amazon ended up buying it, a multi-billion-dollar company. So there's no loser. Even if you don't get sponsorship, the exposure of the idea. And that's what we want. We want to get our young people feeling now that they can have the freedom to innovate, the freedom to think, the freedom to put ideas together and have an economy that will support it, meaning it will bring resources to ideas. So the role of government is the market maker. That's why I'm here. That's what I'm doing. That's what the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation does. We make the market. Right? We bring the people with ideas, and we bring the people with resources together, put them in the same room, and we step aside and allow the magic to happen. And that's essentially what we have done with this Launchpad. Again, we did it for training with the Amber Heart Academy, where we are now training people for coding, developing a coding ecosystem in Jamaica. Now, an important point was mentioned about our labor shortage, because labor is now a binding constraint on growth in the country. So if we were to double the number of businesses we have, do we have the labor? The participation rate in Jamaica is about 70.5%. The participation rate is essentially the percentage of the labor force that is relative to the entire population. In the United States, it's something like, on average, maybe 62.5%. In Trinidad, it's about 62%. In Singapore, it's 70%. So our labor participation rate is not off. In fact, it's very high. So already a large number of our working age population is participating in the labor force. Remember, we're still going to need people to take care of mommy at home. You're still going to have people who, for varying reasons, decide not to participate in the labor force. Jamaica is now at this very unique point in its development trajectory, where we have to consider ourselves an environment for doing business. That's what we should consider ourselves. We are an environment where it's good to do business, like Dubai or Singapore, where people choose to come and do business. That's where we're heading to. Just think for a moment, if we got rid of crime. We wouldn't have, as we said, we wouldn't have hands to receive the businesses here. And that is where we're building our economy. That's where we want to go. Right? And I think we're on very, on a very good runway to achieve that. But I close where I started. We have to improve our productivity. I share some statistics with you. And the next time you speak, Howard, you might be inclined to use these statistics. I tell you, it's better than being a spokesman for the opposition. In 2021, Jamaica's wage bill was $241.75 billion. That was our wage bill. In 2022, the wage bill increased to $338.13 billion. It's a 39% increase. In 2023-2024 fiscal year, the wage bill increased to $404 billion. That's an increase of $66 billion, a 19% increase over the previous year. And the projected wage bill for this fiscal year is $442 billion, an increase of $37.5 billion. So between 2021-2022 fiscal year to now, that's $200 billion increase in the wage bill. Cumulatively, the wage bill has increased. This is since the restructuring, the compensation review, by 82.9%. Now, let's place that in context with everything that is said in the public domain. If you listen to just what is said in the public domain, it is as if this has never happened, that $200 billion is not now in the pockets of public sector workers. I am not saying that this solves the problem of low wages, which we have traditionally suffered from. I am not saying that this is what is the limit that you should get. I am not saying that this solves the anomalies that exist. But the context of the conversation has to incorporate that a massive shift in the fiscal arrangement of the budget has been done in favor of labor. I will be the first to tell you that more must be done, and the government commits to doing more and will do more. But there is a parallel conversation that must happen. The only way to do more without collapsing the fiscal stability is to increase productivity. In the conversation about more, please talk about increased productivity. Let me say this. The history of wage, and by the way, no other administration has given this kind of wage increase. None. There's none. The history of Jamaica's wage increases is that the government gives the wage increase and then takes it back with a wage freeze. In fact, almost every time there is a wage increase of any massive, significant jump, a year or so after there is a wage freeze. Because the wage increase also increases the fiscal pressures. This is the first time that we've been able to plan it properly so that we can even present the budget without the pressures. But we must all as Jamaicans be careful how we exert pressure, because it will collapse our fiscal ecosystem. And governments have to be strong to manage this, not to be disrespectful, not to appear, not to understand what our workers are saying, but we have to be, brave enough to raise the issue with our workers to say, listen, we want to do more, and we have demonstrated that we want to do more by virtue of what we have done. But to do more, right, we have to grow the economy. And you are such, our workers are such a critical part, particularly our public sector workers. You are essential. It can't happen without you. Growing the economy. So I just thought I would make these points, and I hope that I have enlisted the support of Howard Mitchell, my greatest critic, in reinforcing these points. And I hope that I was not too somber in my presentation. You have been a lovely audience. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. And of course, we look forward to the opening of the budget debates next week.
I just made it.
Yes, you most certainly did. You most certainly did. Well, at this point, let me invite representatives from Amber and UTech to come and do the signing. Persons who are signing?
Yes.
Right here.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've just witnessed history being made. And before we leave this evening, I'll invite Ambassador Savaria to deliver some closing remarks.
Again, thank you very, very, very much, everybody, for spending this lovely evening with us. I want to just go back to some crucial points touched by all the speakers. Mr. Christopher Zaka, thank you very much for your lovely speech. And thank you for allowing us to follow you. And I'm sure you will also follow us now with $2 billion contribution to this particular project in the next 3 years. We would like that money go to entrepreneurs in Jamaica. And I know Sagicor is already doing a lot for a lot of entrepreneurs. And I'm hoping that with time, that the risk appetite of Jamaica to trust entrepreneurs, to vet them better, only increases. So more of us can get better opportunities to launch global products from Jamaica. Second, my dear friend Howard, thank you for your lovely contribution. One thing stands out from the Mr. Mitchell's speech is human capital, the investment in human capital. How do we embrace them regardless of where they are in whichever stage, upskill them, make them better, make them more useful for the growth of our nation? And of course, Senator Aubin Hill had to leave, but beautifully said. There's a lot that the government is doing in putting together better funding, more availability of funds, more access to funds, more access to infrastructures, more access to better roads, more access to so many things that is lined up for Jamaica to be the greatest nation on this side of the world. And of course, Prime Minister, thank you for your remarkable keynote speech as well. Few takeaways for me. You can give him a big hand. It was really, really a fantastic delivery. One of the key things that I took away, Prime Minister, that every economy, when it is coming out of slumber, it takes time for the effect to be seen. When you throw a ball into the air, it's not going to drop straight away. It's going to take them some time for it to go swing and then gradually come down and fall. Every chip you throw, it takes time for it to drop too. The effect is always felt. But as Jamaicans, as citizens, we also have to be patient. Because when you turn a wheel, it takes time for, we used to have diesel engines, we still have. It takes time to start, but once it starts, it's just on the roll. And that is how economy actually works globally. If you look at all the developing nations across the world, India, you mentioned, Prime Minister, or Senator Hill, one of the fastest growing economy in the whole world. Do you think it happened overnight? It's taken years and years and years of work behind the scenes at looking at the big picture. Like Prime Minister said, you have to tackle the big picture and then slowly the effect is trickled to the last farmer in the field. It takes time. Our patience with Jamaica, our patience with all the well-wishers of Jamaica, patience with all of those who are helping Jamaica to grow faster is very much required today than more than ever. And apart from that, for me personally, I'm very delighted to be a part of this mission. I'm very delighted, Dr. Brown, to give Amber an opportunity to work with UTech. I'm very passionate. Like I said, I come from a very humble beginning. I've not come from millions of dollars coming from my grandparents, or I've inherited a lot of money. I started everything from scratch. 2nd of January 2015, I had no food in my fridge. I was broke. 100% broke, because I came to Jamaica as a humanitarian, teaching the art of living workshops in prisons and corporates, and I have even taught your management team back in 2016, a stress management program, so I'm sure it is working. That's why you have a lovely smile. But over a period of time, 2015, January, I realized charity cannot happen from an empty bowl. You need money, you need wealth. without wealth, we cannot do everything. And the same thing, I think over the last few years, you've seen the dramatic progress of Jamaica's economy. The reason being that we've become a very revenue-focused country. And the more revenue-focused we become, the more we attract revenues in from exports, from entrepreneurs, from businesses, not just serving the 3 million population of Jamaica or more, but serving millions of people overseas is how we are bringing revenue into the country. Amber Group, we bring all our revenues home. We've got companies all over the world. We've got offices all over the world. We started with 200 square feet. We now occupy 60,000 square feet of office spaces in 6 countries. And all of this economy that we are driving will take time for everybody to feel the effect. And to me, I think coming from that entrepreneur startup to where we are has been a phenomenal journey. Thank you, Jamaica, for giving me the launchpad to be where we are as Amber Group. Thank you, all the businesses in Jamaica who have trusted us to get us where we are. And thank you, the whole world, for everything. And just in my closing remark, I want to say that, my mother, like I said, she passed away this weekend. This is a very difficult time for me personally, but I had to be here. I thought my personal pain cannot take precedence over the gain of Jamaica. That is why I decided to fly down for 3 days only to Jamaica, do this event and go back home to attend to my dad. But the 3 things that my mother was always very proud of, and Prime Minister, you met them last year too. They were so happy to meet you and take some pictures. 3 things that my mother said that I'm very proud of you, Dushyant. 1, that you built a business with a lot of hard work, sincerity, integrity. 2nd, you remain humble. All the success that you've grown, you still sit with your driver, you sit with your helpers and take them to 5-star hotels and eat with them. And 3rd, she said that the biggest thing that I'm most proud about is your nature of giving back. You just want to do as much good as you can for the society in Jamaica. And I remember every few weeks I'm in the news doing something crazy like the Mount Everest. But every time we would be on the news, I would send her a WhatsApp with the news item and everything, and she would immediately video call me and do this every single time. So when this incident happened on the weekend, I realized that like my mother was so proud of her son to become an entrepreneur, a charitable human being, to continuously think about doing more good for Jamaica, how can we get another 100 mothers to build same type of reputation and same type of joy from their own sons or daughters to bring up another 100 enterprises like Amber from Jamaica? With this, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and Prime Minister. Thank you so much for coming, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we bring to a close our official proceedings. Feel free to join us outside for some refreshment, and I believe we have some entertainment as well.